Bob has served loyally to a lot of people. He's been in a lot of strange situations. I mean, he was in Texas where there was ownership turmoil. He was in Seattle where they were trying to find their way post Ichiro Suzuki. The mess that is the Oakland Athletics, and he did not lose his mind there. He did the best he could humanly do. Comes here with the expectation. Hasn't worked out. It's amazing to me. I will guide you through what I think is going on because some of my sources have indicated to me there's a rift. And, we've talked about the quote fissure in the clubhouse. I don't know if it's necessarily a player. I think it might be manager, general manager, and the baseball ops people. I think there's a lot of interference from up top about your batting order and what you're doing and how you use your pitchers. I don't know if he's a manager or if he's robo-manager being instructed what to do. He won't talk about it. Preller has totally disappeared. Doesn't talk to anybody in the media now. I think Bob's got his hands full. Would they hit the eject button? I give him a letter grade of C only because he's been victimized by the guys on the field that are not producing to the level they produced prior when they got the big money contracts. But is he too nice of a guy? That's something I think you got to consider. Does he run a tough clubhouse, a demanding clubhouse? Should there be more public accountability on these players? Or do the players just not care? Because I got my money. Did you get yours? I think it's a big issue beneath the surface. We'll say this. If they hit the eject button on this guy, are you going to trust the general manager who got a letter grade of C to hire the next manager, considering the 4 managers that he's dealt with since he came here in 10 years and none of them have worked out? Big issue to me. So keep that in mind. I would like to see Melvin get vocally tougher on his players and put the pressure on them. We see it work. We saw it work with Whitey Herzog. We've seen it work with the guys that ran the Yankees. I just think there needs to be a firmer hand and a more demanding hand from those people up top. I'm not going to fire Melvin, but at the end of the day, things aren't working out here. I give him a letter grade of C too. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this was a tougher one because there have been a lot of things that aren't going right. When we hired Melvin, everyone was ecstatic. Everyone thought this is great. We got like a A1 manager. This guy's a former manager of the year. But now we start to learn more about what's going on. And like Skip Schumacher, who was the assistant coach or bench coach.
He was the bad cop to the good cop that is the manager.
But he made some remarks recently talking about the friction that existed between coaches and maybe the coaches and, like you said, the front office management. So there's clearly something going on there that we're not really hearing completely about. But Melvin, to me, you can question some of his moves, like, when he brings in Luis Garcia and he blows up or sticks with Tim Hill too long. But he's missing a lot of bullpen pieces, and he can't keep going to the well all the time with Wilson and Hill. So I don't know. I don't necessarily think Melvin is the problem, but I think there's more going on behind the curtain that we just can't see.
I also tend to think, and I always fear about this, because of the metrics and because of the, quote, vice presidents, plural, of analytics upstairs, if there's too much information overload being put on the players. I don't know. I mean, how can you explain all these bats, with the exception of El Nino Tatis? Every one of those other guys is having a substandard season, and half the batting order is hitting under 220 in addition to the stars not hitting. Is there too much information overload being given to these players by the VPs of analytics?
Yeah, that's a reasonable assumption because you got to keep it simple for the players to execute on the field. But I sometimes wonder about the approach too, because remember, for the longest time, people were talking about we need launch angle. We need to get the ball in the air. But a lot of times, how many times do we see Machado pop up in the infield or in foul territory?
Or swing and miss forever and ever and ever on low and outside.
Yeah, the slider down weight, it's tough on him. But, since they banned the shift, you would think that we'd want to punch it through on the ground. There'd be a lot more holes. but it still doesn't seem like we're fully taking advantage of that. So that could go down to Melvin and the way he's kind of preparing his players to execute on these games. Is their approach at the plate the right approach?
Well said. I gave him a C, and your letter grade is?
I'm going to go B-.
You just have to be obstinate on
Yeah.
everything. Okay, we move on. Third question.